Welcome back, everybody, to Confluence of Worlds with Bryan Rector. And the winter season is here. We're back with a couple more episodes. Obviously, you'll be seeing the one with Matt Basgall from Michigan State Hockey that is just coming out and has become public in recent days. But I am so excited to be doing this show today here with a guy who's representing. And actually, it's the second time that we've had Michigan State men's soccer represent. He and Jonathan Stout are friends. This is a dude who has been paramount to Michigan State's success the last 2 years and has an interesting backstory that I want to get into. But let's jump right into it. So, Jake Spadafora from Michigan State men's soccer, how are you doing?
Good, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. Looking forward to diving into this.
Good. And I know when we had done that interview with Jonathan Stout, one of the things that he said, because I said, hey, who would you like to see me talk to? First name he mentioned was you.
Yeah.
So the fact that we can be here, season removed, a little bit more calm,
Exactly.
and get after it, I love it.
Awesome. It's a blessing. Let's do this thing.
So first thing I want to get into, man, is you guys had a good season for all intents and purposes, but it ended shorter than you would have liked, from my understanding. What were some of your takeaways?
At first, it was pretty tough. We had a really good start. We were ranked for the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Really got up there, made names for ourselves. We were really doing well. And it came on the stretch. We only ended up with 2 losses to one team. And losing to one team twice was enough to knock us out of the playoffs, knock us out of the national tournament. It's kind of heartbreaking then. So at first, we really thought about it, and it was pretty devastating. We thought we didn't come away with anything. We thought we got nothing out of the season right away, but if you really look back at it, we accomplished a lot of things, and we took a big step forward from the last couple of years that puts us on the right path to be really successful in the future.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I know, you talk about the steps, right, of moving forward. The thing I love to hear, and one thing that you and I were just speaking on off camera, is that you got a family member who's coming to state. Not next year, but the year after.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So my little brother, he's going to be a freshman here when I'm a senior, so we'll get to play 1 year on the team together. Such a blessing to see what God has in plan for me and my family. It's just so sweet to see how that's working out. So we get 1 year together. Hopefully that's an amazing year, but just even if it's not, like just playing with him for 1 year is just something I could only dream of. So It's going to be awesome.
For sure. For sure. And, talking about that connection that you have with family, right? And the willingness to be able to compete at the highest level. I know on the other side, the Gainers have done it for Michigan State women's soccer. So it's kind of cool to see that that's a trend that's continuing. But I was curious for you, what was your upbringing like? Because I know you're from Northville, correct?
Yes.
And then where did your faith background come from? And tell me about the past, man.
Yeah, so I actually was born in Florida. I was born in Tampa, Florida, and my brother was born in Orlando, Florida. We moved a bunch. We moved from Tampa to Orlando, and then Orlando to Chicago, and then Chicago to here, and then I moved to Philly, and I moved back to Michigan. So I moved a bunch, mostly for my dad's job. But, we grew up in Northville, Michigan for most of my life since 2nd grade, and that was pretty good. Really, that's what I call home. That's what I know as home. Grew up there. I got 2 brothers, got a mom and a dad. My faith background mostly comes from my mom. Like, my dad says he's religious and, he believes, but doesn't really do all, he's not really fully into it. He doesn't go to church all the time.
Sure.
I don't really think he prays, does any of that stuff, but, he says he is, but never is. But my mom, she's really pushed us and really got us into that. We've grown up in the church because of, her side of the family. Her family's always, on the Sunday, we're going to church with them. Just growing up, even before I had a relationship with Jesus, it was kind of I thought I had one, but, I was in a Christian family. My mom should be doing Bible studies weekly in the house, having people over all the time for meeting, praying for me, doing all this, telling me all this stuff. Every day when we go out, she'd be you have to say your prayers before you go to school, have to read the daily devotional, try and get into the Bible as much as possible. So it's really been good to grow in that sense. And especially since I've got here, I've definitely taken off in my faith. These last 2 years, I'll give a shout out to Caleb Sleeman. He works with Athletes in Action. Yeah, great guy. And he's really mentored me and catered to me to help me be able to grow. So overall, I'd say I've had a faith background pretty much my whole life. I didn't really have my own relationship, my own type of faith until coming to Michigan State. But before that, I would say yeah. My family was religious for the most part, so.
That makes sense. And like just thinking about making that jump, right?
Yeah.
In the next steps of growing more and taking more of those faith steps, leaps of faith. What would you say the importance was to have that background that's allowed you to grow as much as you have since you've been here?
I feel like it's a big importance because I feel like if I didn't have that background at first, I definitely would have been a lot more hesitant to go into AIA. The very first week that I was here, freshman year, we had captain's practices, so we were just training as a team. And then Stout came up to me, and we were obviously new at this point. He was like, yeah, Jack Zuge, he's taking me to go to this AIA thing. And I remember I heard about it, like I saw something about it online, but I was still pretty hesitant to go. And I was like, and I remember talking to my mom, she's like, just go try it out, see what you do. I guarantee you'll like it. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And that's where it just took off. And I feel like a main reason why I'm at Michigan State is because of God, and the reason that I'm here is to like grow in a relationship with Him and get closer to Him. That's the whole reason I'm here. It's not for soccer, it's not for school. It's just that was the main reason. I've definitely found that since I've came.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know one of the things that I know about you just by surveying, right, and watching what happens is that you're somebody who committed to soccer very early and improving the craft and making the moves necessary. I know you just mentioned going to Philadelphia. I'm curious to know is like, how did that come about where you moved exclusively to play the game? And what were some of the things that you got to learn during that process of being a part?
Yeah, so that was definitely one of the biggest, hardest choices in my life, but honestly one of the best. Like thinking about it, I would 100% go back and do it. It shaped me to be like the person I am today, living on my own. So I live with my dad for most of it in an apartment. Towards the very end, I lived in like a host family. There's a bunch of guys in the house with like a house mom and a house dad. But so I lived with my dad at first, and then after that, I grew. I had to live on my own because he would travel a bunch for work. So that's when I started like cooking for myself, kind of doing the dishes, doing my laundry, like doing all that stuff. This is when I was in high school. So it really took a lot out of me, especially moving away from friends and family and everything that was comfortable, like putting myself in a harder soccer environment where it's like day in, day out, soccer's what you're doing. It's like, it's mentally, physically, emotionally, it's so hard and draining. But it made me better at soccer, it made me a better person, and honestly helped develop my relationship with Christ a little bit more too, because I felt like that's all I really had at that time. Because outside of soccer, I went to a school for soccer, so we'd have soccer in the morning, school right after, soccer again.
Okay.
And it was just my teammates at the school, so like it was all soccer. So like the only friends I had were my teammates, and we lived all spread out throughout all of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area and New Jersey area. So it was good. It was very, very good, and I'm so thankful for it. But it was also very, very hard. And but I feel like you have to go through hardships, and that makes you who you are today.
Yes. I know. In my conversation with Matt Basgul from Michigan State Hockey, he said that he moved during his junior years to Tri-Cities and then as well to Omaha, Nebraska for sort of a similar situation, to be in a training camp and to be with guys, I was wondering, has there been any point during your journey making these decisions and following your path where you've had doubts?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it comes with it all the time. I mean, injuries are always something where you have doubts, but you just think like sports are so confidence-based and so like they're honestly more mental than physical, because everyone at the Division I level can hit a ball 30 yards or like connect the pass to your teammate, but on the field with all the pressure, with the like believing in yourself, that's where it comes from. With people yelling at you, people telling you they can't do it. So yeah, I've definitely been through times where like when I was in Philly and I just didn't start a week because I had a bad week at training, and I'm like, wow, like I'm here for soccer. Soccer's not going good because I'm not playing well. I'm not going to go pro. I'm not going to go D1. I'm not even starting on this team. I've started my whole life. Like, it's basically over. Like, you just have these thoughts off of one simple week, and it's crazy to think about it. But that's what happens when you put everything into something and it doesn't go exactly how you want it to go. So yeah, I've definitely had my doubts. I've never had anything like crazy. Actually, when I was in 5th grade, when I was really young, I was on the verge of quitting soccer and playing football. I was one day away. And I always remember this. I was in the car, I was crying after a game because I didn't play at all. And I was in 5th grade. And I was like, I want to play football. Like, the football coach really wants me. Like, I'm just going to go play football, do all that. I remember praying about it. My mom's like, go to practice one more day. And if you like it, you stay. And if you don't, we'll put you in football. I remember going. It was the best practice I ever had. It was so fun. And I just remember, like, that had to be God, because I was, like, one day away from quitting and never playing soccer again. So it's crazy to see how I was this close to not being where I am today.
That's such a powerful story.
Yeah.
And, I think that oftentimes, especially, too, with the way that recruiting works and the way that these things happen, they begin to matriculate at a very young age. And that's a lot of pressure to deal with and a lot of different elements to the story. I'm curious, would you have any advice for the young kid who's going through that right now to try and make it through that and get to the next level?
Yeah, I would just say the biggest thing I would probably say is just push through that moment. Like, it's always going to get better. Like, you just got to, like, enjoy it. Remember why you're playing the sport, why you're doing whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be a sport. It could be anything. Remember why you're doing it. Remember when you were a kid and it was just fun. And just push through it. Give it your all. And if you give it your all, at least at the end of the day, like, I did my best regardless of what happens. And I think that's the biggest thing that held me down. Is like, I'm just going to do the best that I can. And if my best is enough, then it's enough. And if it's not, it's not. And that really just gives me peace and confidence and allows me to perform to the best of my ability. And more times than not, it's going to go in your favor.
Yes, absolutely. The way you were just describing that reminds me of quite a few principles that I've heard through both AIA as well as Ultimate Training Camp, which I know that you were able to attend. Was it last summer that you were?
It was last summer,
okay,
yes.
Yeah. So what were some of those kind of learnings that you had, and how did that go, and what were your takeaways from that experience?
Yeah, so AIA has been absolutely amazing. I went to Winter Retreat and I went to UTC. Both of them were amazing. Unfortunately, at UTC, I had an arm injury, so I couldn't, like, lift my right arm. I had, like, nerve damage back here. Don't know why. It just started hurting. I had really bad pain, so I couldn't move my arm at all. So after 3 days at camp, I got sent home because I couldn't do the rest of the stuff. But I was still able to learn and take away some of the principles. And most of those principles are all about taking your sport or whatever you do in life and using it to glorify God, and that's for God, and that the reason that you're doing it is for Him. So you've been given to do it for Him. So at the end of the day, it takes off all the stress, takes off all the pressure, and honestly allows you just to enjoy what you're doing so much more. Because you're not thinking about, like, oh, I'm playing this because I have to go pro and this is what's going to do with my life because this is all that matters. It's more of like, I'm doing this for fun, for God, to the best of my ability. And you end up playing better. You end up just doing it all better, and it all works out better when you just do it for the Lord. So that is something that we learned. Another thing we learned was, like, doing it for, like other people, kind of, in a sense. Like, not, like, for other people, but, like, when you think about, like, it's kind of hard to explain. I'm not gonna lie. We got in like a huge paragraph. Like, we learned about, like, something called, like, inside game, and it was, like, using your motivation from inside, like, what motivates you, and, like, using your motivation would be, like, from the Lord, instead of, like, being, oh, I want to just beat this guy and be better than this guy. Because when you're doing it from the Lord, you're just doing it to the best of your ability. And when you're doing it for, like, oh, I'm gonna beat this guy and be better than this guy, what happens if that guy beats you? And then you're upset, you're destroyed, So
Yes.
I definitely had a lot of takeaways from it. I honestly am thinking about going back. I don't think of this summer, but maybe another summer.
Okay.
Because I didn't get the full experience. Still had a good experience, but I didn't get the full experience.
For sure.
So we'll see, but I've definitely taken some big things from it.
Yeah, no doubt. That leads me to ask, what are some of the things that motivate you?
Some of the things that motivate me. I've always hated losing. Like, obviously everyone loves winning, and I know this is probably a saying or something, but I actually just despise losing. I hate losing. Everything about losing sucks and destroys me. So ever since I was a little kid, I couldn't take losing anything. If it was like FIFA, video games, cards, like, very competitive. Like, I played a board game with my family, and, like, I've broken stuff out of anger, but, like, I've, like, thrown dice, thrown stuff, like, when I was little. Sure. Obviously, I've grown up now, but I just hated losing, and I just want to strive to be the best that I can. That's kind of been the thing. When I was younger, I wanted to go pro. I'm not sure about now. We'll see whatever God's plan is for me. I've kind of taken more of that mindset.
Sure.
But kind of just be the best that I can, because I feel like if I'm not putting in, at the end of the day, I can be happy with myself if I put in all the work that I could. I worked as hard as I possibly could. I did all that I could. So by doing that, I at least know that, like, I'm doing the best that I can. And if I fail, or not if I fail, if I don't like win Big Ten Player of the Year, if I don't win the national championship, if I don't go pro, at least I know I put in all my effort, and at the end of the day, I had a good run. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think anybody who watches you and anybody who knows a little bit about your story can tell that you certainly have been given gifts that help you be who you are on the
Yeah.
field and off it. But my question to you, Jake, is what are some of the things you feel like are gifts that you've been bestowed upon by Jesus?
I feel like honestly, like I don't mean it's in any cocky way. I'm just saying I feel like I've been very blessed. Like I've been given a lot. Some gifts, I mean, that I personally have. I mean, like external, like I have such a great blessed family, like wealth, like all that stuff. Like I grew up in literally, I couldn't think of a more perfect place. Sports, all that stuff. Like I'm just so thankful. Like it's been such a great life. But stuff that I've been given, work ethic, I'm driven, stuff like that. Hard work, I've never quit at anything. I mean, that's also something my dad's instilled in me, but I feel like that's something like the Lord's given me. I'm also very good at like talking to people. Like once I get to know them, I'm a little shyer at first, but like once I get to know people, like in a big group, I can make people laugh. I can do my thing. So, I guess that type of blessing. But I don't know. I feel like I've been given a lot. I'm very thankful. So
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate your response to that. And as well, I've appreciated sitting here with you. I mean, this has felt like a really good conversation
yeah, I appreciate it as
thus
well, man.
far. But man, is like Michigan State soccer, right, has had great success at times under Coach Rensing and slower years. But I say that because there's been what feels like, and especially too, Mr. Stout talked about it, there's been a culture change within the program.
Oh, there has.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, is like, he said quite a few things about what his perception of it is, but I know even you and I were talking about the amount of guys you have in your class, the amount of youth you have, all these things that contribute to the team culture. What are some of the things that you've seen change during your time here so far?
Yeah, so my first year, I feel like the team was surrounded by so much more negativity, and I wouldn't say hate, but dislike from a lot of the older guys, a lot of stuff like that. Like, there's just so much negativity going around. Like, people didn't like showing up for practice. People didn't like, sure, everyone loves games, but we didn't really win that much, and it was always someone's fault. It was always someone did this. It was never anyone's mistake, but everyone else's. It's pretty negative. It honestly just was a very, very toxic environment. And this last year, it's changed completely. Like, we come in smiling every day, win or lose. Like, we love each other. Like, no one blames anyone for anything. Like, it's all head up, work together as a team. Let's grow. We have a growth mindset, not this is like a stagnant mindset where it's like someone like, for example, there's guys on the team last year that'd be like, okay, this is your fault. I did nothing wrong. And then they would just like be cut as day instead of being like, okay, would say you didn't do this, I didn't do this, let's work together, then we can get to that.
For sure.
Let's just help. But every day, like Stout, he comes in smiling, he gives everyone hugs, he daps everyone up smiling. He's really been a big influence on the team from that aspect. But like we come in every day, we'll be joking, laughing, like we really enjoy it, and it makes it so much better because it makes it feel like a family instead of just like guys that are together trying to like win soccer games. Like we feel like a family trying to win soccer games this year. So it's been so different, and I feel like that's definitely had a huge effect on our record and what's been going on with the team.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm glad that you feel the same way, you know, and can see that. Talk to me about an off day that you might have with those guys. How do you get away from the game? How do you escape the rigors of being the high-level athlete that you are? What do you like to do in your free time?
Yeah, during season we'll have an off day once a week, or like it's actually like it's once a week, but it's kind of like once every 2 weeks. They'll kind of fit it in so it counts for both weeks, kind of type of thing.
I see.
But during season we like normally those days when you catch up on homework, do all that stuff. You don't really have that much time. So I'll actually go to study hall sometimes with the guys. We'll rep out some homework there, do that type of stuff. We'll get food together. But on those days, it's more like I just sleep in, go to class, and then just do my homework, just chill. So those days are good. But out of season, when we have off days, we actually do like to get together. Sometimes we'll hang out. We'll like go to an upperclassman's house. We'll throw bags. We'll hang out. We'll get food. Like sometimes we'll cater food through Michigan State, which is nice. We'll get Olive Garden, just hang out, put on some music. That's always a good time. Sometimes, like, yesterday we went bowling as a team.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
wow.
awesome. That was big time. So we did that yesterday, but that's more rare, but we still do stuff like that. Just kind of fun activities, take our mind away from it. A lot of the guys on the team like to play cards. Stout's a big cards guy. He's addicted to cards.
Sure.
I state that, but I'm not into it. I don't really play with them, but they get some competitive card games going. We also do play a lot of FIFA against each other.
Okay.
So that'd be fun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That does. Man, I like that. You know, one of the things that he talked about, which I thought was so interesting,
Yeah.
was the NIL opportunities that you guys have had, whether it be as a team or as a university or that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering is like, what is your take on the changes that have happened in collegiate athletics with the NIL game?
I like it. I think it's smart. I love it. Like, these a lot, especially like, I mean, the bigger sports like football, basketball. Like, these athletes are celebrities to people. Like, their name gets sold. Like, it helps for recruiting, helps for all this other stuff. And they should be getting something for it. So now that they can, it makes it so much better. I have a couple. Like, we have like a team NIL with Auntie Anne's. I signed up for NIL with Insomnia Cookies.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully that comes too. That's for next. They do it by semester, so hopefully I get it for next semester.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that I think is sweet. I like it. It kind of makes you feel like you're a pro when you're like embracing a brand. But I don't know. I like it. It's definitely something that needed to happen.
Yes. Yeah, and here, I want to ask you something that kind of deviates from the norm
Mhm.
and it might be taboo, actually, in terms of the NCAA. But just know, we're not violating any rules here. Let me ask you this, Jake, is if you could do a deal with any one company on this earth, where would you go to and tell me why?
Okay, that's a good question. A deal with any company.
Yeah.
I want to say Nike, but I'm not going to say that because Michigan State's trying to get a deal with
Sure,
Nike. We
sure.
get plenty of Nike stuff for free. Give me one sec.
Nobody look at the Adidas logo right here, by the way.
Yeah,
We're
this is
talking
my-
about Nike.
This is my brother's hoodie, by the way.
Yeah,
Shout out my brother.
There it is.
Yeah, this is the team he plays for.
I love it.
But everything else I'm wearing is Nike.
Yes.
I had to rep my brother today.
Had to clarify
Yeah,
that.
just to clarify.
There it is.
I'd probably do some food. I can't even lie.
Okay.
It's probably something in the food.
Yeah.
It'd be so nice just to get free food or like get deals with food.
Yes.
I'm leaning towards Chipotle, but I still feel like I'd have. Oh, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh,
100%.
okay.
Yeah, Buffalo
Wow,
Wild Wings.
that's major.
Yeah.
You know, we got one in downtown here.
Oh yeah, I go all the time.
Yeah. Oh, you there? Okay.
It's my spot.
Yeah. So posted up on a college football Saturday, Spadafora up there in the Wild Wings.
There you go.
That's beautiful, dude. What's your typical order there?
Okay, so this is not crazy. So I used to get wings, but like every other human being. But then my roommate last year, Jack Gugamus, he got a sandwich, and I was clowning him for it. And he's like, "You gotta try it." And I tried it, and it was the best thing I've ever eaten. And I haven't got wings at Buffalo Wild Wings since. So it's called a home style chicken sandwich. It's got like, I don't even like coleslaw, but it's got coleslaw and it's good. It's got coleslaw, like bacon aioli, some other stuff on. It's the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. So I get that with fries every time. It's simple.
Oh man.
Yeah, maybe a lemonade if I'm feeling parched.
Hey,
That's
there
about
is.
it.
Dude, lemonade, you're speaking my language
Yeah,
right
there
there.
you go.
That's it. Man, that's such a good conversation. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's revert back here
Yeah.
to where we've been at. Is something that I know has shown up in your bio actually on Instagram is AO1. And I was wondering, is like, what does AO1 mean to you? When you think about that acronym, think about audience of one as a concept. Where do you go?
Audience of one. It helps you when I'm playing in the game because sometimes we'll get fans. I mean, sure, we don't get as much as football or basketball, but like Ohio State, we got like 5,000 fans. Like, still a lot. And like when you're out there, like, you think like, oh, I'm playing for like myself, or I'm playing for people, or I'm playing for my parents, or I'm actually playing for those fans. I'm playing for the supporters. Like, I'm playing for Michigan State, and that puts pressure on you actually. But I remind myself, and like some people put on, I don't wear wrist tape, but like I know Jack Zuge does, and he writes AO1. And it's just to remind him, like, oh, like, you're playing for the Lord. So, like, it takes all that pressure off because you don't have any pressure to play for him. Just going out there and doing the best is all that he asked for. So, when you do that, it actually reminds you, calms you down, helps you play better. So, that's why there's that. Yeah. I also have a verse in my bio, Jeremiah 29:11. It's, "For I know the plans you declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope in the future." And I like that because no one knows what their future is going to entail. And when you really just trust in the Lord, He knows. So when He says, like, for I have the plans, like, He knows what's, like, it is for you, you know?
Yes.
So just trust in that, and things will work out.
That's such a good word, Jake. That really
Yeah.
is. That inspiration that, hey, story's already written. So that kind of brings up an important piece that we haven't heard yet, is earlier you said that you're still thinking about the program and are looking at those opportunities, but what are some other things that you want to do in post-grad life, post-college, when soccer's over, looking down the road? What does your future hold from what you are thinking about?
Yeah, so I'd like to go pro. I mean, if I go pro, but it's not like my end all be all. It'd be pretty cool if I could play pro for a couple of years.
Yes.
But if I don't play pro, I really like physical, like athletic build, like training and stuff like that. I'm majoring in advertising and marketing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if I could maybe be able to do something for that, like for like a, not just like soccer specific, but like all sport training, like gym, physical, endurance, fitness, all that type of stuff. There's this training brand that I grew up doing called Barwis, and I thought it was awesome. And if I could get into something like that, that'd probably be my dream. I'd maybe do advertising and marketing for them, or like do something in the business side of that, but then also be able to be in the training side of it. So I know the athletic world, that'd be kind of like my dream and what I really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. How important is it to you to be full and like be widely entertained by trainings that you do? What are some of the extra things that you do off the field to get ready? And how highly do you see that as an important piece to being successful?
I think it's so critical. I think it's everything, actually. It's what separates you from you and your teammates. I mean, you and your teammates are at practice every day doing that stuff, but it's what you do when no one's looking. And I mean, everyone has heard that saying and does that saying, but it's true. Like, all the training, like my dad, like the reason I'm here is because my dad, like, he trained us so much when we were kids. Like, he would always make it, like, there wasn't a day we went by where we weren't doing something that was athletic. If it was from just running outside or like playing a sport or doing or like lifting in the basement with him, like doing upper body with him. I think it's so big, and like even in the off season, like right now I'm injured because my Achilles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm still doing stuff like riding the bike, still hitting the gym, just trying to keep my body in as much shape as possible. And like something else that's huge is your diet. I've been changing my diet up during season. I kind of eat whatever I want because it's kind of like I'm training so much, I'm working so much that I just need as many calories. Kind of just hit it then.
That makes
But
sense.
out of season right now, when it slows down a bit, I'm trying to like eat tons of vegetables, fish, all that stuff. So a good diet is crucial.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, I was wondering, is like, we're beginning to wrap up here, I think.
Yeah.
Just by nature of what we covered, which I love
100%.
speaking to you on. Is there anywhere else that you would want to go? Any information that you think might be of use to these people checking it out?
Yeah. What do you mean by want to go? Like,
Just like, topics that maybe you see fit for that we haven't hit, if there are any.
yeah. I don't know, like about myself. You're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Not really. I mean, we've hit up mostly everything. I'll just say like the hard times that no one wants to go through. Those are the times that like when you look back, you'll be most proud of yourself. Like I remember when I didn't want to go to Philly at all. Like I did, but like I didn't. And like when I moved, like I was crying. Like I was assault. Like it was. I went down at end of sophomore year of high school, but then COVID happened, so then I went back like after COVID, and it was so tough. And looking back on it, that's one of the things I'm most proud of myself for, by just pushing through it, and it's made me grow the most. So like those difficult times when it like really sucks and it's hard, those ones where you got to push through and fight even harder. And trust me, you look back at yourself on the other side just so thankful and proud that you did it. Because I guarantee you, if you quit, you're gonna be really upset with yourself. So it's better to push through it and fight through it than give up.
And then lastly, right before we get out of here,
Yep.
I know there are definitely some people that you mentioned, such as Caleb Sleeman and a few other people, your pops, who've been influential in where you've gotten to. But are there any other shout outs you want to give? Anything that we can plug to maybe connect with you? And before we get out.
Yeah, definitely for the face side of things, shout out Caleb Sleeman and my mom. Definitely the two biggest. Yeah, my dad, he's been solid. He's held me down my whole life. But I'd actually like to give a shout out to my two brothers, though. I think that's really crucial. Like growing up with them, I have one brother who's in 6th grade, so he's a lot younger than me and my other brother. But, like, me and my middle brother, like, we wouldn't be here because we played against each other, we've grown up with each other, we compete against each other. Like, it's both helped our game. So, like, he's definitely means, like, everything to me. So, it's big having him. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Hey, with that, have a great day, man. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And so appreciate you guys out there for having tuned in to another episode of Confluence of World. We have a couple things in the pipeline, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. We're trying some new things on Instagram with reels that are coming out. So we'll do it for this show with you.
Okay.
We'll have a little bit of a new technique with that. And we'll continue to adapt and change and just have so much appreciation for you guys and hope you're getting tremendous insights out of each of these conversations. I know that I've learned a ton from all you guys, from all the athletes that I've spoken to, and we're just excited to keep it going. So thank you again for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for tuning in. You can catch us at Confluence World. That's Confluence of World podcast with Bryan Rector. And until then, have a great day, everybody.